Get on up.
Everybody right there.
Get into it.
Everybody right there.
Get involved.
Everybody just come on now. Come on now.
Hi, I'm here today with the 4 High Road Fellows from Cornell University. We have Paul Russell, Sky Hart, Betzabel Vasquez, and Hal Schwimmer. Hal, could you start us off a little bit by telling us about what the High Road program is?
Sure. So the High Road Fellowship is an undergraduate research fellowship offered historically to ILR majors, but over the past years there have been more and more non-ILR majors accepting the fellowship. And what we are focused on grassroots economic development and urban revitalization. There is a 2-credit pre-course on the history of Buffalo and Buffalo's economy. And then for June and July, we work with a partnership program, mostly nonprofits, some for-profits, on how we can develop the community and the economy at large here. And then our fellowship term culminates in a term paper on what we've learned.
Awesome, thank you. And Sky, you worked at the Partnership for the Public Good this summer. Can you tell us about what you were doing here?
So my project was to write a report about Push Buffalo's Green Development Zone, and Push is People United for Sustainable Housing. It's a community development organization that works in Buffalo's West Side, which is a low-income, majority-minority neighborhood. And basically they use green development as a way to do development without displacement, to make sure that people can stay living in the West Side in affordable housing, and that's done through things like solar power and providing weatherization so people's heating bills aren't super expensive.
Thank you. And Paul, on the radio show that we just did, you talked about your impression of Buffalo as being something like 2 buffaloes, really. Can you tell us what you meant by that?
Yeah, well, when I first was coming to Buffalo, I would hear that Buffalo is sort of a struggling community. So I would come and I had that in mind, and then I'd go to places like Elmwood, I'd go to places like Canal Side, and I'd think, oh, this is a place that's really developing. It doesn't seem that there are many problems here. And then I would go back to the place where I'm staying, that's sort of in a low-income area on the west side. I'd ride the bus, and I would really see a completely different set of people that are in Buffalo. Like when I'm at these sort of developing areas, it's completely different from when I'm at these areas that aren't so much in the Buffalo Renaissance, or what we perceive to be the Buffalo Renaissance. And then also, like even in these 2 different distinct groups that are in Buffalo, they disagree about what's good and what is actually what's actually a beneficial development in Buffalo. Like for instance, I talked a bit about how there were people and stakeholders in the community who were arguing that the medical campus was such a great thing, and then there were other people who were in the communities that were a bit closer to the medical campus, like the Fruit Belt, and there were problems with parking, there were problems with security guards who were coming into the areas and sort of enforcing things that weren't being enforced before the medical campus was there. And so these people in these communities really sort of resented this new development, but people who were sort of pushing for it were thinking that it was just one of the greatest things to come to Buffalo. So it was interesting how not only do you see people who are in different communities physically, they go to different places and they have different perceptions of what's actually happening in the city. So I thought it was really interesting that there's so much of a disconnect.
So needless to say, there are a lot of different dynamics going on there. So Betzabel, can you tell us about sort of what you would say to a potential High Road fellow from Cornell, and how you would sort of convince them to come?
So, I know it's sometimes like saying, oh, it's in Buffalo, like some people be like, why would you want to go to Buffalo? But it's not about coming to Buffalo, it's about what you learn from Buffalo. So coming from Promise, Rhode Island, like I used to despise the brown students. I thought that they didn't really know much, but they would go into the communities and try to help us out and think that they were really helping us out genuinely. So I went into Ithaca knowing that I was going to be one of those brown students in Ithaca, and I was tentative about helping the community there, and I didn't know how I could help because I didn't want to be that student. I didn't want to be that Ivy League person who came into a community and thought she knew what she was talking about when I didn't. So being in Buffalo and being a positive stakeholder here and learning how to be respectful and curious while also giving like really good criticism and kind of critiques on how to fix things here, I learned that there is a way to be a positive stakeholder where you're at. And if you do a program like High Roads, you would be able to go back to Ithaca with all these skills that you would be able to apply there and you'll be able to make an impact there. And then now you're not only a Cornell student, but you're a person who changed Ithaca in some way, and that's where we all want to do. Like, we're like Beyonce, Beyonce says she made a song like "I Was Here," and she wants everybody to know that she was here in the world through her music. And we cannot not go to Cornell, and not have people in Ithaca know that we were there. So I think going to High Rose and learning how to do that in Buffalo was very important, and I would definitely be able to use that in Ithaca. So for all those people who don't know if they want to be in Buffalo, I know it seems at first very unappealing, but it gets better and you learn a lot.
Thank you. So thanks you all for joining us this summer in Buffalo, and thanks for joining us on the radio show today.
Everybody over there.
Get on up.
Everybody right there.
Get into it.
Everybody right there.
Get involved.